What's up, guys? It is Ryan,
And Neil over here.
and we're taking a different approach today because it's been kind of helter-skelter, and I know we're always in front of the whiteboard, but today we thought we would take a different approach and just kind of talk about a couple things, give you guys some updates as to what's going on in the marketplace. And the first thing we want to talk about right now, and I made a post about this earlier, if anybody saw my check-in here, I'm checking in on purpose, guys. It's to let you guys know, hey, we're still working, and I know that everybody's supposed to stay home. It's just Neil and I. We don't go anywhere else. It's literally to our homes, to our offices. This is basically a part of his office. I'm way on the other side of the office building, but it's just the two of us. And we're here to let you guys know that we are still open, that life is still happening. Like, yes, we have to be more responsible, but it's just like when you're trying to buy a mortgage. Okay, yeah, like we have to be really responsible here because of this coronavirus outbreak. Just like when you're trying to buy a house, you have to be really responsible, A, with your finances, B, with your credit, and all the other things that come along with getting paperwork, everything that's part of the process. But as far as the market goes right now, guys, it is still a little bit crazy. But from what we've seen, Neil, and you can kind of attest to this, it seems like things are settling down. Rates are starting to stabilize, okay? They're not in the twos and they're not 0% like people think that they are, but they have come down and they're stabilizing. From what I've seen, Neil, it's somewhere between 3 and 4% on average, depending on credit scores and stuff like that. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reality is this, guys. Some lenders aren't lending. And we got notification that there's some lenders that aren't doing any new applications. If they had existing loans that were in, that's fine. We did have some investment loans that got pulled.
And if they're not, some lenders, if the loan isn't locked, they said take it somewhere else. They're closing what they have in their pipeline and then sitting back and waiting to see what happens. Because there's going to be a lot of losses. A lot of losses for a lot of lenders. And there's going to be some lenders that go out of business that can't make this.
And part of the reason behind that, guys, is, and let's just be real, if you didn't actually lose your job and you decide to stop paying rent, stop paying your mortgage, stop paying your credit card bills, you are the reason why a lot of these things are falling apart. Because these lenders have to start taking precautionary measures because people are saying, hey, I'm not paying my rent, I'm not paying my mortgage. The government said it. That's not what the government's saying. What they're saying is if you happen to fall on financial hardships and you need a little reprieve, then they will work with you, and they're trying to take measures so that you're not necessarily going to be penalized, whether from late fees, from interest charges, or from credit, repercussions from not paying things on time or maybe possibly missing a payment. But if you're purposely not paying because you think this is a vacation or some sort of holiday, you are a part of the problem, and that is why lenders are pulling out of markets or freezing any new loan applications. So it's really important, if you haven't lost your job,
There's a bigger issue here. What were we going to talk about? The bigger issue is here. If you've been out of work for 2 weeks and you make 50, 60, 70 or higher more, and you don't have any money saved up, don't you see that's an issue? That you don't have 1 month, at least 1 month in reserves, 2 months in reserves. That's the bigger issue. Forget about buying a house. Yes, we're a mortgage company, but you have bigger issues if you don't have any money saved up. If you live paycheck to paycheck, what's that telling you? That you spend too much money. I'm not even talking about saving for a mortgage. I'm talking about saving for life.
Everyday expenses. A lot of people will say, like a lot of the financial guys, if you don't have, some will say 3 months of rainy day funds, some will say 6 months, some will say a year. Like you should
Nobody
save up
has
a year
that much saved
out.
up. I get that. I understand. But everybody should have a month saved up. Everybody shouldn't even have to worry about the first month.
Right. And if a $1,200 stimulus check is going to make or break your life, I mean, God bless you. But
yeah, then
for most people, that's not going to help you.
Right.
So, but anyway, we wanted to talk first about the market. The market is slowly starting to stabilize. I know that the stock markets have been doing a little bit better. Some investment markets, Bitcoin, whatever it is. Some of those things have started to rally back. I don't know that we're at the bottom yet, but hey, at least it's a little bit of a sign of the bleeding is starting to stop, or hopefully is stopping a little bit, and that the dust is starting to settle. Next, we do want to talk about credit, because we always talk about credit. We're putting together the credit seminar because we've had so many people. I just had a conversation, and I'm going to kind of go into that, but credit has become more important than ever when it comes to buying a house. Now, for me personally, I've been talking about credit for 2 years just because I kind of saw the trend. It's just like wow, this credit thing is amazing. And that's only because of the path I was on. I couldn't get anything. I couldn't do anything for so long. I went 6 years of not being able to have or get a credit card. That's how bad my situation was. And now I have more credit cards than I should possibly have.
Been there, done that too. So
But it was because of personal discipline. Neil's another prime example of that.
yeah,
Neil's
but you're crazier than I am.
I am crazier. We're going to talk about the pen that I just told him about. But Neil went through the same thing. Neil's in the mortgage world, and back in 2007, 2008, when the markets fell apart, and then in 2011, when I think it was more of a financial crisis had taken place, Neil's been through some.
I didn't ask for a forbearance.
Right.
I almost went into foreclosure, but I got up all the money and paid it. I'm not telling anybody that my situation's different than anybody else's. What I'm saying is that forbearance is the last thing you should do. The last thing, because once you do it, you ain't refining, you ain't buying a house.
Oh, I just read another article too. Somebody else just posted today, and I'm pissed I didn't get to share it. Somebody else posted and said they were told that at the end of 3 months, they owe 4 months. And they're like, wait a minute, how's that possible? And she said, 4 months is due. And somebody said, if you can't pay 1 month, how are you going to pay 4 months? But that's what some of these banks are doing. Again, every bank is doing something different. There is not one set rule set in stone.
And they don't have to have a rule set in stone.
Believe me right now, guys, everybody's kind of going on their own whim right now, doing their own thing. They're creating their own rules on the fly. The government's creating their own rules on the fly right now. So each individual bank and lending institution is doing the same thing. The point is this: credit is still super important. And if you want to protect your credit right now, do not stop paying on things. Call them, call the lender, call whoever it is, that the issuer of your credit cards or whatever it is, and tell them what's going on. Be honest with them. Or tell them your fears. Maybe you haven't lost your job yet, but you think that it is. Put them on notice. You may have to wait for an hour or 2 hours to get a hold of that bank or that lender. That's okay. That's what you have to do. Figure it out, guys. Unfortunately, in certain times, instead of just throwing your hands up saying, I don't care, whatever, you got to be proactive. The more proactive you are,
Worst
the better
thing you
off
can
you're
do
gonna
is
be.
do nothing.
Yeah.
Worst thing you could do is not call anybody and just let the chips fall where they may. That's the worst thing you can do. But if you can afford it, pay it. Seriously.
Now, we know we have some people that have been talking about rates and credit reports and stuff like that and credit scores. We can still do 620 credit scores, guys. But the ironic thing is 620 seems to be
more conventional
more
than
conventional,
FHA.
right.
But rates have leveled off. Rates are way better than they were a week ago. So everything's going to adjust. It all depends on what's happening in the world.
Right, so just give it some time. We just locked a couple rates today at 3.5%. We're still doing it, guys. Things are still happening. We just had to be calm, just like everything else. When 9/11 happened, guess what? We all recovered as a nation. We have to pull together, whether you're pulling together as a complete nation or it's our network of people that we work with, realtors, mortgage professionals, title companies, credit people. We just have to pull together.
Here's the thing. You're all stuck home. And you always say you don't have time, you don't have time. Well, guess what? You have time now. If you want to get your credit in order, you want to get your finances in order, give us a call. It's a phone call, 5 minutes. You can't catch any disease by picking up a phone and calling us.
And it may take 20, 30 minutes, or it may take 2 or 3 months, but at least pick up the phone and take, like he said, take action now. You can't get by doing nothing.
You can't say you didn't do anything after this is all over.
And another part of this, guys, going back to credit, just to finalize on the credit part, is we just had a guy that called in, and he may or may not follow us, and he knows he was really embarrassed, but he's a car finance manager. He does auto financing for a dealership. The guy makes $180,000 a year. He doesn't even have a 600 credit score. And the funny thing was, when I said to him, I said, listen, I'm going to be nice to you, but I'm not going to be nice about what I have to tell you because I only care about the results for you. And he said, that's fine, give it to me. He makes $180,000 a year, and he doesn't know the basics of how credit works. He says, Ryan, I look at credit.
And that's what he does all day long.
Every day. People bring me their credit scores and their credit reports. He says, I look at them every day, and you know what? I don't know what that means. He says, I know it means pass or fail, or it means really high interest rate or really low interest rate. He says, but in order for somebody to go from where he is in the 5s to a 700, he says, I have no idea. And guess what? Honestly, his situation isn't that bad.
No, it's easy to fix.
Just a matter of not knowing what to do. But we know how to do that, okay? Now, how do we know that? It's 2 things. Number 1, I've paid for a lot of information. I've paid for courses. I've paid for books. I've paid for one-on-one seminars. I've paid for the consulting so that I can learn this stuff so that we can help pass this on to our customers. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to charge for our time. But if you're serious, we're going to work with you, and we're going to do it at a very reasonable cost. Here's a problem. A lot of you are turning to credit repair people thinking that a credit repair person is going to help you.
Or solve your life.
I'm going to help you understand something. And this is what the guy said to me. He says, like, nobody's ever explained it to me like that. And it makes so much sense. Credit repair can help you. It is going to help you plateau to a certain level. When you get to a certain level, you may get rid of some of this shit that you had from before, times when you were irresponsible, maybe you fell on hard times, whatever it is. It's going to help you get rid of some of this stuff. But if you want to have a high credit score, it's proactive approach. It's proactive daily disciplines. It's things that you have to do that no credit repair person can do or help you with.
Because most people don't want to do it. They just want to hand it to you and say, poof, you have a 700 credit. It doesn't work that way, and it won't. And even if it goes up, it's going to come back down until you change your habits, until you change what you're doing. All you're doing is fixing it for a certain situation, and guess what? It's going to go right back down again.
And the biggest problem with it, guys, is it's really not the credit repair people's faults. Their fault, what I believe is their fault, is that they don't teach you what to do on your side of it. They basically say, you pay me monthly and we'll take care of everything. You sit back, relax, which is exactly what this guy told me. And 2 years later,
they did nothing.
He still doesn't have a good credit score, and he doesn't know why.
Right.
I sat with him for about 20 minutes, which he paid for. And guess what? He said in 20 minutes I learned more than what I learned in the last 2 years. Now he's a finance guy. He's going to help teach other people this stuff, and we're trying to do the same for you. So the point of this, guys, is credit is very learnable. You can manipulate your credit score. There are things that you can do, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to take time, a little bit of knowledge, and a whole lot of discipline. If you're willing to implement those three things, you too can have good credit, and we'll talk more about that later.
And don't go buying a car. Buy a house first.
Don't buy a car. You shouldn't be buying anything right now. Like, going back to the point about finances, you should not be buying anything outside of your normal daily necessities, okay? No big Amazon purchases, no new TVs. If you get your stimulus check and you waste it on something like a television, you're an embarrassment, honestly. In my personal opinion, you're an embarrassment because you're part of the problem in the society and the system that we've built to try to help take care of people. You're taking advantage of the system. That's just my personal plug there. The last thing is, and I'll share this is fun for me, and Neil's going to roll his eyes and go crazy, but I was talking to Neil and I said, I've realized how crazy and psychotic I've become, and it's fortunate and unfortunate for some of the people in my life, but like,
it needs a shrink.
If you look at the most successful people in society, they are so disciplined. They are such creatures of good habits. And I was sitting here and I started to write on this legal pad, and the pen finally, it has been running out for the entire day. But it finally was at the point where I was like, enough is enough. And it comes back to, I used to not be so disciplined. I would change pens, change jobs, change relationships, whatever. I never actually wrote anything out until I got to the point where it was finished. And I've realized that now over the last 2 years, 3 years, when I have a pen, a disposable pen, I force myself to use this pen until it's done. It's crazy. It is crazy. But that's what I've had to do to train my brain. That's one of the things I've had to do.
Nobody has to do that. Seriously.
No, you don't have to. It's personal choice and preferences, how you learn, and what makes you do the things that you need to do on a daily basis to get the end result that you want. But by doing stupid little things like this, starting off by making my bed.
Really disciplined. Yeah.
Starting off by making my bed. Then after I get out of bed, I check my credit scores. I check my bank account. I go make a coffee or have juice or whatever if I work out, and I wash my stuff there. Sarah, my girlfriend, she can't stand the fact I have a dishwasher. She says, why don't you use it? And I say, because mentally I know I need to take care of that myself, not put it in the hands of somebody else or something else. Now, there are times where technology can help, like if I have a big family party and I do stuff like that, which is not happening now, but it's okay then. But guys, if you start doing the little daily disciplines, put yourself in check. Remember every little thing that you need to do to put yourself where you want to be. If you do it every single day, it no longer becomes a chore. It just becomes a habit. Now I wake up, I get excited to wake up, go downstairs, crank out my workout, because I know when I come up those steps and I'm dripping in sweat, or I come back from that run and I'm dripping in sweat, it's done. It's over with. I can enjoy if I want to have a bagel for breakfast with Neil, or if I want to have, something hearty for dinner, I don't have to worry about that because I put in the work. I love the fact that I know every single week I check my credit card balances and I make sure that I pay them so that they're paid off. Neil does the same thing. In fact, now we laugh about it because he and I both do the same thing. Once a week, or maybe once every 2 weeks.
I do it every day. Check the balances.
What we do is we'll look and we'll see a sheet of paper on our desks. And it's a list of the cards that are due, what their balance is, and what the date is.
The due date is.
And we'll just write it out and say, okay, what do I want to pay?
All month, yeah.
And then we quick check, It's just about creating those little habits, guys. And the point of this video is create the little habits that are going to lead you to where you want to be. If you are not where you want to be today, that's because for the last 2 years, you didn't do what you needed to do. So decide today the life you want to live. Write it out on a piece of paper. Go get your vision board like Neil talks about. Go put it on your wall. Write it out. Leave a picture on your desk. Put it on your computer. Put it in your... I see people in their cars, they'll put a little picture of the car that they want, or they'll have the house that they want in the refrigerator. Go do that. Neil, what's on my refrigerator? You walked in my house and you said, what is this on your refrigerator wall? Do you remember what it is? It's a drawing. What is the drawing of?
Second floor.
It's what I want to do to the second floor of my house.
He wants to build onto his house.
I want to put a master suite with an outside second-story deck on my house with a spiral staircase going down. Why? That's something I want. I don't live in a $500,000 house. I live in a nice house. And it's a house that I've earned through the last couple of years of diligence, hard work, people that have helped me, people like Neil.
And we making him buy a house.
And clients of mine. Guys, it's just, everything I'm telling you to do, it's because I've done it for the last 5 years. And that's what's led for me to be where I am today.
In other words, don't ever be embarrassed by where you are now because we've all been there. That's all. If you call us, nobody's going to be think of you any different because we've all been there. But you have to start sometime. That's it. You have to start.
5 years ago, for 1 year, I lived in my office.
You slept
People
in his
that
office.
I was working there, I slept on an air mattress for 1 year. You want to talk about humbling? You want to talk about In Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith? Go watch that movie. It's awesome. Neil said it's sad. I think it's amazing. You know why? Because it shows people where they were and how to get out of that situation. You put in the work. The bottom line is put in the work. Find good people to surround yourself with. Find people that will invest in you. Like Neil invested in me. And people in my past. I've had lots of people invest in me. We're investing in you by putting out this content, this information. It's not because we want to see ourselves. Yes, do I watch this? Because sometimes I even learn to remind myself when I listen to myself talk here. I remind myself what I need to do myself. So when I wake up some mornings and I don't want to work out, or I wake up some days and I don't want to look at my credit card balances, and I'd rather go spend something. Not bragging. I have $200,000 of credit card limits plus charge cards with American Express. I would love some days just to be like,
go buy a
screw this.
Porsche.
I'm going out and doing whatever I want. I have a card. I could go buy a Porsche 911 on a credit card. One shot deal. No problem. But I don't do it. Because then I'd be letting you down.
Then you got to pay for it.
Well, that too. But I'd be letting you down, and I know that you guys look up to us, and I used to look up to other people. So now we're still trying to give back by being examples, by leading.
Listen to me. Even if you don't want to buy a house today, and you just need help, give us a call, because I believe in karma. You just want some help with your credit, it's okay. It'll come back to me, us, tenfold. It'll come back to the company. I've been here 34 years. I ain't going anywhere. So if you just need help with your finances and you're not buying a house tomorrow, that's fine. We're okay with that.
Yeah. So if you guys have questions, if there's things you want us to talk about, people send us private messages, and anytime they do, we talk about that. Oh, you know what? I do want to talk about something else. I had a conversation with the realtor today. We had a guy who decided he didn't want to buy a house because he said, houses are going to come down by 50%. Okay? Think about this. If a house comes down 50%, that house is underwater. That person can't sell. So how are you going to buy a house that's underwater?
It's not coming down 50%.
It's never going to come down 50%.
Here's the problem. The difference between now and 08, there's no inventory. Yeah, they might drop a couple thousand. There might be people that fall out. But there's so many people looking for houses. They might do away. Like, I think grants are gone. I don't think you're going to see grants anymore. But there's still enough people out there buying houses that, yeah, maybe the price will come down a little. It'll adjust a little. But 5%, 3%, there's no way. It's 10% the most. There's no way in the world it's coming down 50%. But if it does, we're all underwater and the whole country's underwater.
In Newark, New Jersey, they're offering 10% over asking price. 10%. We're talking about $400,000, $500,000 houses, and people are coming in 10%, sometimes even more. It's crazy. They're offering crazy numbers. Like, these houses aren't even going to appraise, but they don't care because they're investors and they want to buy this stuff. And interest rates are so low, it's a great time. So just give us a call, guys. Let us know how we can help you. Tell us what you're struggling with. You know, our calls may be short with you if you're just trying to, you know, get a little motivation. We'll still spend time to talk to you to help you get to where you want to be. We'll assess where you're at now and tell you what you need to do to get where you want to be. But the point of the matter is this, guys. There's a lot of people that have been calling us saying, I need to step up and do this. And Neil likes to say, it's time to grow up. It's time to
put your big boy panties on.
Put your big boy panties on. It's time to grow up. Give us a call. Call your friends. Have them keep you accountable. If your friends aren't motivated and marching forward, you might want to start considering getting new friends. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to help you get there. You have to do the work yourself. So you might as well find friends that are going to walk with you, or maybe friends that are already even there and have done the work themselves, and say, listen, you did it, I want to do it. It's funny, one of my best friends last night sent me an awesome message, and it's cool because he's lived a good life for a long time, and I haven't. It's only been the last couple of years. In the beginning, I was a screw-off. It was my fault. It was nobody else's fault. It was my fault. It's now time for you guys to realize that if you aren't where you want to be, most cases it's your fault, but today's a great day to do something about that. All right? So give us a call, send us a message, let us know how we can help you. We love you guys all, and please be safe. Neil?
Stay safe.
Love you guys. Take care.
Yeah, love you.